guys, it has been 4 months since my last palette rankings video because, to be honest, there just has not been a lot of good palettes, but after 4 months I've been able to accumulate 17 palettes today that I'm going to be ranking from the worst to the best. I'm warning you, I did not do a good job of documenting the looks that I did with every palette, so not every palette's gonna have a look attached to it, but everything of course will have swatches. You will notice a few palettes are gonna be missing that I've tested recently. There's 4 that I'm leaving out. The 2 new YSL palettes I just picked up, the Urban Decay Naked palette, and then the ND I Need a Warm palette. I haven't had enough time with them, so they will be in the next palette rankings, which I think will probably be the last one of the year of all the holiday palettes that will eventually come out. But I still have Natasha Denona in this one, don't you worry. So let's go ahead and get into it, starting off with number 17, the worst palette that I tried so far recently in the last 4 months. So this is a little trio from Kaja, and it is the Beauty Bento in the shade, I love this shade, Taro Bubble Tea. Oh, I want to go to Kung Fu Tea right now and get a Taro Bubble Tea. They have the best ones. But unfortunately, they changed the formula on these. I think the mattes are still okay, but the star of the show, this shimmer, is really thick, really flaky, really chunky. You really have to work it out on the eyelid. I used to praise the gods for this eyeshadow trio, not this one in particular, but just this line of Beauty Bentos, because they were such luxurious quality. And so I was really excited about this one because the color was gorgeous. I love Taro Bubble Tea, but the formula is different in this one and it is not good. Now, don't get me wrong, on the eye, she looks pretty, but you know, when it comes to the rankings, I consider quality, I consider color story, I consider if I used it or not. I stayed away from this because it's not a good experience to use. And just like number 17, we're at 16, and it is the other trio from Kaja that came out in this launch, and this is the Cold Brew Beauty Bento, and it's the same situation. Extra disappointed because the color stories of these two were right up my alley, but unfortunately this top one has ruined all the fun for everybody. Really thick, really chunky, just cannot in good faith recommend these palettes to you guys because they aren't good quality. Number 15, this one is interesting. So this is from Flower Nose. It's from their Midsummer Fairy Tales collection. It's really beautiful. It's not bad on the pigmentation either. Love the packaging here. So they had sent me a palette that is only available in Asia. The US market got a different palette. This is the number 3. So if you're in the US and you look it up on their website, it's a different color story. I like that color story better, but obviously this one suits Asian markets better, especially with what's trending over there. But I like a little bit of depth. This is too pastel-y for me. Quality is fine, maybe a little bit sheer, but again, it's targeted for the Asian market, which isn't to my taste most of the time. So I placed it there for that reason, just not to my taste. But it is a really pretty pastel palette. But the one for the US market, I think, is just a lot prettier. Number 14 is the Pokemon and ColourPop collaboration. This launched a while ago at this point, but I was really excited about this one because I thought it would be a great rainbow palette addition to the average person's eyeshadow palette collection, but the quality in this is a little bit dry, which sometimes happens with ColourPop, which it's not that big of a deal because the price point of ColourPop is great. You can make this work, but just with what I have it lined up against, this is where it fell. It's not a horrible palette. It is easy to use, and if you don't have a lot of color in your collection and you just want a nice staple palette to have, the Roy G. Biv color story, this is a fine addition, and it's super cute because it's Pokemon. But I don't love the quality in here. It's just not as good as the palettes I'm going to mention after this. It's fine, but not an all-time favorite of mine. Number 13. Now, moving up here, honestly, is where things start to get really good. So this isn't even a bad palette. It's just kind of where it fell. This is also from Flower Nose, from their Midsummer Fairy Tales, and it's the shade 01. Now, this one is definitely more up my alley. I think why I'm less inclined to reach for these palettes is I don't like the shapes of them. It's just not an appealing palette to me to reach for, and there's the embossments that I don't want to mess up. It's a stupid reason. The quality on this is very nice. It's a little bit different than the popular formulas in the US market, which are a little bit thicker. This is a Chinese makeup brand. But there's something about it that's like untouchable to me. I haven't reached for it as much as I would like to. The deepest shade, while it pulls deeper than it looks in the pan, it's not as deep as I want it to be. Very nice palette. We're at the point where these palettes are good. This is just where it fell because competition is tough out here. Number 12 is from Viseart. This is the Petit Fours. I'm not going to pronounce this because I'm going to look like a dummy if I do.
Esperide.
And this one's fine. It's kind of basic. I have these colors from Viseart already. The formula is a little bit drier when it comes to the shimmers that I'm used to for Viseart. So I actually for a while did reach for this a lot when my eyeshadow palette rankings drawer, as I try new palettes, it stays in a drawer until I do this video. So for a while, this was like, I tried it months and months ago, so it was one of the only palettes in my drawer, so I used it a lot more then, but nothing stood out about it. It was just use of convenience. Very pretty, on the lighter side, so if you have a deeper complexion, this one isn't going to work out. Not the best color combination. It's nice, it was pretty, I enjoyed using it, but once it goes into my main eyeshadow palette collection, it's not going to stand out. Number 11 is from Kaleidos, and it's the Twilight Rush Quad. Now, this launched almost last year, I want to say. It kind of stayed in my makeup room to the side, and then I did eventually get to it in these last few months. Really lovely quality, but I have to ask, what is going on with Kaleidos? They haven't launched anything in a long time other than hair products, which was a bit random. So I don't know what's going on in the makeup front for them, which is unfortunate because they create such beautiful eyeshadows. This one is also beautiful. I just haven't been as into bold eyeshadow of late, so I haven't reached for this a lot. This black is super pitch black. If this smoky color story appeals to you, I think you will really enjoy this one. This purple is incredible on the eyes. I don't have anything bad to say about this. I just used some of the other palettes that I'm going to mention after this more. But I love these little quads from Kaleidos. They are such good quality. And you know what? Maybe with October coming soon, something like this would get more use from me. I was very, very light with makeup this summer. So a lot of these deeper eyeshadow palettes didn't get as used by me. But definitely come the winter months, have more time inside, more of a bold time when it comes to makeup, I'll reach for color stories like that a lot more. Number 10 is the ColourPop and Beauty and the Beast palette. I really enjoyed this one. I mentioned how the Pokemon one was a little bit drier. I feel like this one has a little bit more moisture, if you will, in there. Just a little bit on the creamier side. Again, it's not like a groundbreaking formula. It's ColourPop. But these colors have been so functional for me and my needs. Really great neutral colors. This is a wonderful, wonderful palette from ColourPop. I've used it a lot on the daily just to pick a couple colors. This Kind-Hearted shade has been the most beautiful crease shade, and then I'll go and put my individual shadows on, but I've been loving Kind-Hearted. I've used a lot of Inner Beauty. I've used a lot of West Wing as an eyeliner. So it has really great staple shades that I've been reaching for, and it's also just adorable. I really love what they did with this collaboration, so I've gotten a lot of use out of this one. Number 9, I did not expect to love this, but this truly is one of the best eyeshadows available at the drugstore. It's from the CoverGirl Clean Color line, and it's their quads. This one in particular is the shade Spiced Copper. Gonna be fabulous for the upcoming fall. I am so ready for it. It screams pumpkin spice over here. The mattes are quite smooth. There's this glimmer shade which can be a little flaky, so just be careful, use your finger, tap off your brush if you're using a brush. The shimmer formula that CoverGirl has in these quads are incredible. They're so buttery, there's no fallout, and then the mattes get the job done. Normally when it comes to drugstore eyeshadow palettes and the quality, I noticed that the quality is a little bit dusty. Like they don't adhere to the lid as well. They don't last as long. I do not feel that way about this line of CoverGirl eyeshadows. And if you've been watching me for years, you know I've really struggled to find a drugstore formula that I enjoyed that was even worth mingling into my routine with all of my luxury and high-end eyeshadows that I love to use so much. This one has been super worthy. This is a big deal. I'm ranking Drugstore so high. And I'm talking like drugstore makeup, not like indie brands, smaller brand, more affordable brands. I'm talking like the big Maybelline, L'Oreal, CoverGirl. Like they don't do as good of a job typically with eyeshadows, but CoverGirl is killing it. Number 8 is from Nomad Cosmetics. So this is from their travel collection, and this is the Air palette, or is that the collection? Anyways, this is really cool tones. It pulls even cooler on the skin. This has been such a fun palette to reach for when I want a super cool toned look. I like the Nomad formula. I don't think the Nomad formula is this groundbreaking, amazing formula, but the colors that Nomad puts together makes it even better because you know whatever look you create, you have versatility with it, but you know all of the colors are going to look good, especially when it's in this small of a format. So this has been good for a really easy, thoughtless, cool-toned eye. I've enjoyed having this one a lot. In this collection, they had some other color stories. This is the only one that I've reached for thus far. It appealed to me right away when I opened the package. So I've been enjoying this one a lot as well. And the mattes, super pigmented in here. Number 7 is from an indie brand, Fantasy Cosmetica, who was newer when I first tried them. And I feel like every time I use their palettes, they just get better and better. So this is the Cradled in Ice palette. This got me out of my eyeshadow rut. I was really not feeling eyeshadow at all. And then one day I was like, I really want to do a bold, colorful look, take it back to 2018. And this is what got me out of that rut. A couple of the shades can be a little bit messy with the shimmers. And some of the mattes need built up a little bit more than I would like to. But you can make it work. The colors are really fun, and Fantasy Cosmetica is a great brand to go to for unique color stories. If you feel there's a void in your heart with the lack of eyeshadow palette launches, Fantasy Cosmetica is a great brand to look into. And this one's going to be really fun for the cooler months because you have these icy blues, and then there's also this mauve-y side over here, all very cool toned, maybe except for that one. Super fun looks that I've gotten with this one. I have had fun playing with this. Number 6 is the other quad from the collection with Kaleidos. This is Venus Trap. This is the one I've been reaching for a lot more, and it's on the lighter side. It can do good for deep complexions, but just be careful because it can pull ashy. On my lighter skin tone, it's been fine, and the reason why it's ranking pretty high is because the quality of Kaleidos is just so stinking good, and this has been in the lighter color family, which I have been preferring. I forgot to curl my lashes. Let me do that now. Dummy dumb. Back to business. Anyways, this one is very cool toned. The other one was very, very purple. But this one I just love for a quick silver eye. It's been really thoughtless. So, like this one as well. And I was not expecting to like this one over the purple one. But just with the style of eye makeup that I've been enjoying lately, it's been with this one. And this silver, incredible. Super gorgeous. Like no fallout with it. Number 5. I don't know if it deserves to rank this high. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I initially ranked it pretty high because I've been using it a lot, but I wonder if I've been using it a lot because it's relevant in my content. I knocked this down a couple spots. I'm just now realizing that. Hope you guys don't mind, but I think I like the Kaleidos and Fantasy Cosmetica better than this, but I've been using this a lot more. Anyways, this is from Natasha Denona. It's the Mini Rose palette. This had all repeat shades. They already existed in the collection. Nothing to write home about with this, just really functional, great variety and depths here, which I think is why I've been reaching for it so much. I have a light shade, a deep shade, a mid-tone shade, and then a pretty shimmer to put all over my eye, which is all I can ask with the type of looks that I've been wearing lately. The quality is decent. It's not an all-time favorite from Natasha Denona. but for the kind of colors that I've been wearing as well, I wear a lot of pinks and stuff, this has been really nice. So I don't know, I ranked it high because I really have been wearing it, right? But I don't have a lot of fun with it. It's not like a groundbreaking palette. I feel like once it goes into my main collection, the use of it's going to stop pretty much. Make of that what you will. But remember when this palette came out, I did compare it to the original formulas from Natasha Denona, where these came from, and it's just a lot less creamy. And that's not changed because Natasha Denona has changed her formula over time. It's not this palette alone. But it just reminded me how good the old formula from Natasha Denona used to be years ago. Anyways, knock this down a couple notches. My bad. So number 4 is the palette that I'm wearing now. As you can see, I've been talking about how I've been wearing lighter colors, but I wanted to play around with color, and the best brand to go to when I'm in the mood for color is Oden's Eye. You guys know I love their palettes so much. I love their color stories. So they launched the Soul Mane 2 palette a couple of months ago, and I love the Soul Mane collection, and the majority of this palette is purple and blue. Like, I could not ask for any more from a color story. There also is some golden tones, some neutral colors. This is right up my alley when it comes to a color story. Even though I tend to stick to neutrals, if I am going to color, the colors in here are what I'm quite comfortable with. So the thing is, I feel like lately with Oden's Eye, they've been adding a little bit too much of their flaky formula, so it's been a bit messier than normal. But nonetheless, I get these on my eyes, and my look is always stunning. I just wish they would slow down a bit and like really smooth out their shimmers a little bit more. But other than that, I mean, the mattes are unbeatable when it comes to the bolder shades. They just kill it with their formulation with the mattes. So for today's look, I did a cut crease for the first time in who knows how long. I started off with the shade Crater, and I blended that in my crease as my background shade just to start off the look. And then in my outer corner, I went in with Planet, which is this light purple color, just to start bringing in some purple to the look. And then to bring some depth, since I was going a little bit more bold today, I went into Lunar Eclipse and I circled that in my outer V, and then I also traced it into my crease since I did decide to do a cut crease. Then I took my concealer, I made the cut crease, which might not be perfect, but gets the job done. And I went in with Moon. Now this is a shade that was too flaky. It made a bit of a mess on my face, but the color, you cannot deny how pretty that is. Oden's Eye shimmers, while sometimes flaky, always gorgeous, always really reflective and textured. So I put that about halfway of my lid, and then I went into Meteor, this gold. Again, a little bit flaky, but so gorgeous. I put up with it, and I put that in the middle of my eyelid, and then just to fuse my purple blend out there and the gold, I went in with a little bit of Pluto right here, and I fused together my matte purple and the gold, and then I went in with a little bit of matte purple, and that's how I got this look. On the lower lash line, I didn't show this, but I used Lunar Eclipse on the outer part of my lower lash line, and then Crater on the inner part, and that's how I got this look. Taking it back to the old days. I love it. I think it is so gorgeous, and I had such a fun time putting it on. So thank you, Oden's Eye, for giving me that experience for me to just have fun with eyeshadow again. Now these next 3 have been beaten down with use. I've used these a ton. With a lot less eyeshadow palettes launching, I've really got to hone in on my favorites and use them a lot more. So number 3 is another Viseart quad, but I like it so much better than the one I showed you with towards the beginning of the video. So this one,
Isolde.
I talked about the other one being a little bit dry. This one is so creamy for some reason. This is like the best of the best Viseart formula, and it looks bland, but that's the magic of Viseart. On the eyes, it is anything but. Well, maybe it is bland, but it's exactly what I want. It's what I'm looking for. They pull so much prettier on the eyes, and then again, the shimmers are so creamy and beautiful. So this for me is like the best of Viseart, their best quality. I love these quads because you don't have to think too hard about a look. So it's just interesting how I wasn't feeling the other one, but I really, really, really do enjoy this one. Number 2 I've talked about non-stop, maybe not non-stop, but I've talked about it a lot, but I've had to tell myself to stop. And it's not even the palette as a whole, but I've used this one shade in particular so much that I had to push it towards the top. So this is another one of those CoverGirl Clean Color quads. And this was a color story I never would have initially reached for. This is Midnight Sky. As you can see, there's blues, and I just don't find blues really to flatter me. And the blues are fine here, but it's this shimmer shade in particular that's incredible. And I was telling you, the shimmer shades in these quads are so buttery, so smooth, and this is like my skin color, but better. So for a really, really natural makeup day, which is what I've been into, or a lighter eye looks, this all over the lid is all they need. And I feel like whenever I wear this all over the lid, everybody is in my comments like, what is on your eyelid? Like, we've all been searching for that perfect shimmer shade that's kind of your skin tone, that's like nude, but better. This has been it for me. The quality is phenomenal. This is my favorite one and done eyeshadow. And this shade right here is nice, a little bit flaky. And then again, the blues, they're also really good, but this shade is doing all of the work here. It has single-handedly made this rank number 2. And then number 1, I think you know where it's going with this. A little bit of bias because of my love for Natasha Denona, and a lot because I just love neutrals and her formula. So while it isn't the most exciting palette launch, I told you guys in my original review of the Natasha Denona Golden palette, this will be a palette where I will be like, with the color story, but I will use it a lot. So the one con about this palette is, of course, you don't get a ton of looks with this. It is almost a little bit more monochromatic in the kind of look that you can get with this. But the thing is, I like that look. Like, I like those colors. And I think I'm being so different by putting Kava, the really glimmery shade, all over my lid. But I always get asked when I wear Kava, what's on your eyelids? It's Kava. But yeah, you get gold looks, neutral looks. You don't get a ton of looks with this, so do be warned from that. But it is the phenomenal Natasha Denona formula. It has all of the colors I need to create a look that I'm comfortable and happy going out with. I'll use the shades as liner. I'll use one and done shades. This is one of the best palettes you can buy if you love a one and done look. There's so many options for gorgeous one and done looks, which is what I've been into, which is why this is ranking number 1, because I can close my eyes and land on a shade, and that shade is going to look stunning alone all over the eye. So, is it the most beautiful, stunning, unique palette from Natasha Denona? Absolutely not. But she's functional, she's gorgeous, and effortless really is what I would use to describe that palette. And that's just Natasha Denona's formula. So there we have it. Those are the last 17 palettes that I've tried ranked from worst to best. I'm predicting we are only going to have one more palette rankings for the year before I combine all of them together. But I do hope you enjoyed this video and found it helpful. If you are still an eyeshadow palette lover, give me a heart in the comments so that I know you're still there. Unfortunately, I know I've fallen off a little bit too. I can't help but follow the trends when this is my job. But every time I do a video like this, I am ready to do more looks like this, especially with the holidays coming sooner than we realize. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure you like it and subscribe to my channel for more makeup updates. And I will catch you guys in the next one. Bye guys, have a good one.